Welcome to Bar 20 Arms.
I was going to start.
Well, it's my turn.
Alright, go.
We subscribe to many different magazines, and this particular magazine had an article in it that kind of rubbed us wrong. And it's about Mausers not being the right choice. Well, that's right up our alley because we love custom Mausers. We have other actions too. We have 700s and Savages, and they're great guns. But don't, you know.
I don't get them out very often because.
Oh yeah, the Mausers are our favorite. One reason, you can build your own custom rifle, and you can make it as accurate as you possibly, you want to. You can make it as accurate as any real expensive gun. Really.
And it's affordable.
Yeah, it's affordable. You can make $1,000 gun if you're, if you're careful and you do all the machining and stuff yourself. You can do it for, $450, $500, and you can have a $1,200 to $2,000 gun.
Match grade.
Yeah, match grade gun. So, but this, go ahead and
this article, it's titled "Why the Mauser Isn't So Great," and the author, Reid Coffield, he has a couple of major points. One of the points we'll show you in the receiver. He says that that's going to be hard to see because of our scope mount, but he says that this slot cut in the receiver causes the receiver to flex when fired. Now this hole is designed as a it's actually for your thumb. Military design for stripper clips. When you're loading a stripper clip, your thumb follows all the way down to the magazine follower to force the last round into the follower. And if you're up here, you're not going to be able to do that. You have to go up and over. So they cut the slot in so that you could ride it all the way down to the follower. Now that's one of his major complaints against the Mauser, as well as the lockup time for the action.
Well, I want to add something to this cutout.
Go ahead.
Well, at first I thought, okay. Well, first of all, I wasn't going to read the ad because of the article because I was thinking, that's an opinion anyway. So I wasn't going to read it. Well, it got to me and I decided to read it. Well, and that was one of the weaknesses that he said, that the action flexes. I thought, okay, well, he may have something. Well, I got to thinking, the scope base that we use here is a one-piece steel base. Now, it has a really tiny screw in the back. Now, if this action really did flex, it would strip this screw out. It would shear it off.
Right.
So we don't feel like there's any flexing going on. Besides, the one other very important fact is that a Mauser has 3 locking lugs. Now it has 2 up here that actually, if you build your Mauser correctly, you lap these to the inside of the receiver, making a perfect match so that this boat rides perfectly on those two locking lugs on the inside. And then the third locking lug would be a safety lug, and it really doesn't touch, or doesn't need to, but these two do need to ride on the surface on the inside. And then if you do your custom Mauser right, you lap the boat face, and there's tools to do that. Now, when the cartridge is loaded, it's flush on the face of the boat, and then also it rests right on the lugs.
Now, for those that don't know, as your bolt, I wish we had a cutaway to show you, but as you ride your bolt forward and you lock it down, these lugs, they lock into a slot inside the receiver.
And they're up and down.
They're up and down. So for this to be true, the flexing action you're talking about, it's flexing back here, but all the concussion is up front. It's up next to the chamber. So all of the flexing action should consist or take place all forward of the face of the bolt, not in the rear of the receiver.
And another thing, the gun experts recommend that you tighten this screw 60 inch-pounds. The tang screw is just hand tight. It's just barely on there. that's the tang, and this one. So there, that theory that it's flexing is not right. I mean, there's just so many. There's so many reasons why it's not flexing. The main reason is it would shear this screw off on our scope base because it's a steel rigid. It's got 2 on the front and 1 on the back, and it doesn't do that. It don't even come loose hardly.
Right.
If you Loctite it in there, it's there. And also, when the gunpowder starts to burn, it pushes down on the locked lugs, the locking lugs, and like I said before, if they're seated properly, it can't go anywhere.
Right.
So that's as far as like he was saying, that's as far as your flexing is going to be. It's going to be right there. So, and that's kind of blows that myth that there's a lot of flexing going on.
So we're going to disagree with that, and if you've read this article, now this is in the Shooting Times. If you've read this article and you're on the fence about getting a Mauser, don't worry about that. That ain't nothing. It's not an issue. There's just as much flexing in this receiver as there is in any bolt action receiver on the face of the planet. And I would venture to say there's probably minimal in all receivers. Just because most of the concussion happens up the front, and most designs have a locking lug in the front of the bolt, which takes all that shock. It's not going to be in the rear of the receiver. The second big thing is, I'll quote him as slower lock time. Let's see, let's find it here. Slower lock time in the Mauser bolt action design. And what he's talking about is when you open the bolt, bring it to the rearward position, which is cocking the firing pin, and you pull it forward, ready to discharge the round. He's talking about the lockup time between the firing pin, correct me if I'm wrong, but the firing pin travel from the rearward cocked position to the forward or most forward position, which would fire or discharge the primer.
And he's probably right on that.
Right.
And what he's saying is some other gun authority found that it was 5.2 milliseconds.
Right.
And he compared it with a Remington 700, which is 3 milliseconds
right.
on average.
Now he's right about that. I mean that's probably true. Now we haven't timed this ourselves.
No, we haven't.
But,
We're going to work on that.
But he's probably right. But here's now correct. You can tell him what you think. But if you're a competent shooter, you use basic shooting techniques. It's not going to make a difference. Now he later talks about how a shooter constantly moves. There's constantly movement. You got shakes. You're having a hard time holding it steady. You're going to move a little bit. So that 5.2 milliseconds gives you time to move enough to throw your bullet off travel or off target. Now that's probably true, but if you practice and use techniques, basic techniques, following through with your trigger pull, your breathing, and all this, that 5.2 seconds ain't gonna make no difference at all.
Yeah.
And we have proved that.
Oh yeah, we've shot many whole groups. But we did a little simple math on that, and that's the Remington is actually 43% faster than the Mauser.
Right.
Now, in Midway catalog, you can go in there and they hardly ever have anything in stock. But I actually purchased one from the company itself. I called Midway. Of course, they didn't have it in stock. But the company that makes these, they're called a Speed Lock firing pin kit.
Right.
And they're made by Chubb, not Chubb. What?
Tub.
Tub. Yeah, TUBB. Tub 2000, actually, is the manufacturer that makes them. And I looked them up on the internet and called them, and talked to a really friendly lady, and she helped me, and it was cheaper than it was in the Midway book, and I believe they were in Texas, and they meant to do business. So I actually purchased one, and we're going to get it, and we're going to do some testing. But it's made of aluminum, and it has a bonded steel firing pin on the tip of it. And it's aluminum, and so it's real lightweight, and it has a real strong spring. So we're going to get that. We're going to fit it in here on a Mauser and make sure it works properly. and they're going to do a little testing.
And their claim is 40% improvement on the time traveled. So on the math here, that's going to leave us 0.3 milliseconds slower than a Remington 700.
Right, and that's something the author didn't mention in there, that there's things that you can do to hop these up to make the Mausers, you know, really competitive.
Right.
And I know that through the years, people have used them for competition shoots and done real well.
And that's something he says later on in the actually in the closing of his article. His article is, you know, page and a half, but anyway, at the end of it, it says, let's see. Does this mean the Mauser is obsolete or useless? Heck no. It's just that we need to be realistic about it. While the old Mauser can still be the basis for a great deer rifle or beautiful sporter, it would definitely not be optimal choice for building a long-range prairie dog gun or for a serious competitive bullseye shooter. Now that is, he's wrong.
He's wrong. We got many targets. Now, matter of fact, if you go buy a Remington 700 from Walmart or any other place, and you pay, you know, $350, $400, you're going to get a fine gun.
Right.
And they guarantee it to shoot, to function properly. But now I know, because I've tuned up a lot of guns in my life. If you get that gun and you take it out and you put it in a bench rest and you shoot it, you're going to shoot anywhere from 2 to 1.5 inch group, right out of even with reloads. That's about what you're going to shoot, because it needs a lot of work. Well, the author don't mention that in there.
Right.
Now there's a lot of things you can do to make a 700 shoot really, make it into a fine rifle. Most of the time you have to rebarrel it, and you know, and there's nothing wrong with the Remington 700. Fine guns made in America, love them, and Savage and you know others. They're fine guns, and I like to see them. Any gun that's made in America, I love to see it. You know, I'm not real big on guns that's made overseas.
Right.
You know, the Vanguard and some of the other ones.
Right.
But
no, we do want to keep it here. But you know, we just want to. We don't want people that are on the fence about buying Mausers.
Oh yeah.
You should not be afraid of an article like this, because this article right off the get go. I mean, he kind of pros and cons. You know, he claims to be for Mausers. He claims to have several and likes them, but to somebody that doesn't have one and is on the fence, this article may be, you know, it may throw you to the other side and say, I'm going to stay away from them because of this.
Right.
But I mean, look at this. That's a Mauser group. Now this is without. I got to tell you too. This is without the.
Oh yeah, this is just like this with no aluminum firing pin with speed lock. It's just like this.
Military grade. Besides the caliber and the stock and the scope.
I keep most all of my targets, good or bad, but
I mean, look at that.
I mean, this is 100 yards. Most all these are 100 yards. Some of them are 250, but I feel like if I shoot and you can't put a dime over it, I'm just having a bad day, and I have a lot of bad days lately. But
there's a horrible group right there. Look at that.
Yeah, might take a nickel to cover that one. What we're going to do is we're going to go out here, and it's really windy today. We're going to go out here and we're going to shoot this. I got some reloads. Actually, they're hunting rounds. They're 165 SBT, and this is a 30-06. This is a Redfield 4x12 scope, and this is an Adams and Bennett barrel. Now, Adams and Bennett is the cheapest barrel you can buy. They're sold exclusively from Midway, and I love them. I've put on many of Adams and Bennett barrel, and I've built me a muzzle brake to go on this.
They shoot good.
Oh, they shoot really good. They shoot really well. So we're going to go out here, and it's really windy today. It's cold and it's windy, but we're going to give it a shot. We're having like 30, 35 mile an hour gusts at times. Now, I'm not, you know, sometimes I don't shoot real well, but we're going to give it a try. We're going to put the camera up down at the target, and we're going to post the results. We're going to see if this old junky, unworthy gun will flex and the time's too slow and everything, and we're going to see if it'll work. Now, if anybody shoots a muzzleloader too, you learn a special technique, because you have, you know, the old cap and ball guns. You know, you pull the trigger and the hammer goes down, knocks the gun around, fires the percussion cap. There's a delay, burns the powder, and kicks the ball out. Well, to hit anything, you have to hold that thing, follow through. And bow hunting's the same way. You got to follow that arrow through. So, a good shooter will learn to follow through. Now, I'm not a good shooter, but once in a while I do shoot good. And like I said, I save every target and I reload, and so that's what we like to do.
And I really go back to that. No matter what weapon you use, fundamentals, trigger
Right.
pull, breathing. Everybody, you kind of blow off your respiratory effect, but you think about it. If you hold your breath too long, you're gonna get winded, shaky. You're gonna see your heartbeat in your eye or in your scope.
Right.
If you don't hold it long enough, you're gonna be breathing and causing movement on your cheek, or
Yeah.
So I mean, techniques, basic techniques.
And one other final thought. I got my National Rifleman magazine this month,
Yes.
and lo and behold, Mitchell Mausers, he's running out of Mausers. They're so popular.
Yep.
There's only so many of them out there, and they're very popular. Mitchell Mausers is firing up to make new Mausers.
This is their. This is the old or original K98 Mauser here, and right beside it is their new generation, made in 2011 K98
And
Mauser.
I cannot wait to get my hands on one.
They look identical. They use the same. If you read through this article now, if you're not an NRA subscriber and you're watching this video,
If you're not an NRA
you need-
subscriber,
get down there and-
what's wrong with you? Be an NRA subscriber.
You shouldn't watch our videos unless you're. I'm sorry. We shoot guns. They're
Yeah,
guns.
they're
They
the
protect
ones,
us.
Yeah, they're fighting for us, man.
So it's number one. Yeah, you got to get a membership. NRA.
They make two different ones: a cheaper one and a more expensive one. It's about $100 more.
But what's really neat about this is they've taken the blueprints. They talk about this in here, but they take the original blueprints from the German design, and they are making the exact same gun with modern machinery.
In the same factory.
The same factory.
Isn't it Orendorf?
Yes.
That one right there.
Yes, it is. Yep.
And then the other one's made in a.
Turstinki, Serbia.
We'll get back with you on that.
Can't pronounce that.
But I like the grouping over here too. Now this is just iron sights, right out of the box. Iron V-notch sights, which I cannot hardly shoot V-notch sights anymore.
They use Yugoslavian surplus, 198 grain full metal jacket.
Not good ammo.
Good velocity, good energy. Smallest group was 2.47, and the largest group was 3.36 for an average of 2.85. Now, that's World War II ammo.
Yes.
And
Low
V-notch
quality.
open sights. I bet you that out of 100 rounds, they only got 3 or 4 that went off.
Yeah. That's 100 yards. They're shooting two.
Now they got a Privy Partisan, a little bit slower, but it shot smallest group 1.71, largest 2.24 for an average of 195.
And that's great
That's awesome
for a V-notch
Yeah.
sight.
Yeah.
And,
So that's really neat. I mean, if you're
is.
a Mauser, especially if you're on the fence,
A
don't take
Remington
our-
700, brand new out of the box. You'll struggle to get that, believe me.
Yeah. Well, number one, do your research.
Right.
Don't believe us. Go out and look. Get this article. Read it. Read his article. Read up about 700s.
Yeah.
Talk to some gunsmiths.
Yeah, this National Rifleman magazine is great. I very rarely read an article that I disagree with.
Yeah.
Now some of the other ones, they're just opinion page.
Right.
They're just you got to accept that. That's the guy's opinion. He may not like Mausers. He may have a grudge against them. Somebody maybe outshot him with a Mauser, and it may hurt his feelings.
Here's another interesting. We're trying to close here, but every design of modern bolt action rifles has come from the Mauser action.
Yeah, and if it was a bad action,
it wouldn't be used.
It would be
700. Pull the bolt on it. Look
Yeah.
at it. It looks like a K98 Mauser bolt.
Did anybody copy the 3040 Craig?
No.
Heck no, man. That's a 3030 cartridge.
You couldn't even scrap that for steel.
About 3,300 or 33,000 cut pressure on that, and these
Mauser sued Springfield in 1900 for their 03 design.
they even copied the bullets, but
And they had to pay royalties to Mauser because of copying their design. So if it's so
Yeah, why didn't they copy the 30-40 Krag?
Yeah, why?
This is strong action too. You can you can make a 300 Winchester.
Yeah.
You can make a 338 Winchester Magnum.
Yeah.
You can. I mean, it's strong actions. You know, they'll hold 62 cut pressure, no problem.
Oh, yeah.
And all you got to do is, you know, when you get one, take the barrel off and inspect it really well. Make sure there's no
Right.
cracks on it, and then work it over, and you'll have a fine rifle that you can hand down to your grandkids.
Right.
Well, we better get off here and go out and do some shooting. It's going to get dark pretty soon. What we're going to do is we're going to go out on the shooting bench, and we'll meet you out there, and then we're going to shoot, and we're going to have the camera down at the target,
Right.
and then we'll come back here and we'll talk about results.
All right. Let's do it.